All right, with that being said, let's get right into it. The first story I want to get into is the Lindsey Graham story. Lindsey Graham, yesterday, we get the news, 71 years old, dies on a flight back. He comes back from Kiev, Ukraine, 10th trip that he has. He calls the president. They're having a call together. While they're having a call together, goes back to his hotel room in the morning, wakes up. We hear the story that he is, at 8:30 in the morning when he returns back, 8:30 p.m. when he returns back from Washington, D.C., there's a call. Emergency Medical Services receives a call reporting a man with severe chest pains at Graham Capitol Hill residence. Within 25 minutes, dispatch audio reveals emergency personnel are performing CPR. And then he's transported to George Washington University Hospital, where he is pronounced dead. And then his office issued a public statement early Sunday morning confirming his passing due to a brief and sudden illness. Apparently, the story that you keep hearing about from a lot of people is the aorta tear that took place. So now, again, with a personality like him, a lot of people would say, well, he was John, he's like John Bolton. All he wanted to do was military war. Originally, he was against Trump. He was this. Totally get it. And people have the right to their own opinions. And then the other side, a lot of people said, hey, this guy was trying to make a lot of people in Iran, and he was playing a role in making sure IRGC wasn't going to be there. Wherever your position is at, may he rest in peace. There's a moment, and I first want to show you the Trump phone call, if you have that. He gets a call from Lindsey Graham when he lands. This is 12 hours before he dies. He called the president, and that call together. And this is right here. If you want to play this clip, go for it.
Thank you for joining us, and my condolences to you.
Well, thank you. He's a tough one to lose. He was great. He was unique in every way, actually.
He was, Mr. President, and I know that we are all just absorbing this news. We are all in shock. Can you tell us, Mr. President, how you received this news and your immediate gut reaction when you heard it?
So what makes it even stranger is that I got a call last night sometime at, the early evening, maybe in the 7s. And he called and he said, we're all set for the Save America Act. He was pushing the Save America Act like crazy. He got back, said he just landed from Ukraine. I said, that's a long trip to make. He said, he sounded a little tired, but perfect, but a little bit tired. Had a right to be. And he was a worker. He was really a worker, but he sounded great, actually. But he actually said he was tired, but he wanted to pass the Save America Act. And I said, well, we're going to get it done, Lindsey. We're going to get it done.
So, Tom, your thoughts on the passing of Lindsey Graham?
Well, first of all, it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you were on. You recognized, our statesmen. You recognize these people with respect. You may not agree with them, but you recognize their life of service with respect. And what has disgusted me is the people that were just, dancing on the grave and being, so happy about it, good riddance and all that. There's no place for that. There is zero place for that. Everybody has an opportunity to flip and change. Everybody has an opportunity to find religion, find faith, whatever it is they find, and come to the other side. And they're just one moment, one day away from that. And so first I was disgusted, but then I sat back and I decided I wasn't going to be angry, and I was just going to consider the man. And I considered the things he did. I considered, Vinny, you found it, the amazing, full-throated, defense that he gave at the Kavanaugh hearing. J6, it's very interesting. I was speaking to some people at Trump International Golf Course. And what they told me, said during J6, that whole area, that Lindsey Graham was coming down to Mar-a-Lago, and he was coming down almost weekly. And he wasn't there, playing golf, partying, or anything like that. He was down there supporting, his colleague, supporting Trump, who was under siege after what happened with J6. And that shows you that he had a sense of loyalty to him. And what was interesting to me is, these were just the regular people, that are, these aren't politicians, they aren't like that. These were people that are saying, wow, it was amazing when this was going on. You could see the loyalty that he had. You could see the dedication he had, for Trump. And how many people, I don't care if you're critical, can you look around in your life and find people that are that loyal to you? I don't care if you love or didn't love Lindsey Graham. If you don't look around yourself and see people that are that loyal to you, then guess what you don't have? You don't have true friends. And this guy, I feel a sense of loss.
Respectfully, a lot of people would say this guy was very critical of Trump in the past. This guy, so the part of the audience, there's a few things to isolate, in my opinion. Number one, hey, guess what? The man died. He's no longer here with us. Come give me a kiss, baby. You're so funny. You just came in to say hi, and then we can go back. Who loves you, babe? Okay.
Hello, Brooklyn.
But you know, a lot of people are saying this guy on one end was, you know, critical of the president for a long time, and then all of a sudden later on, now you're coming saying this. So let's isolate. One, yes, made a man rest in peace, but on the other side, you know, he was also not somebody that was necessarily loved by 100% of Republicans. Now, the one thing that I will tell you that is very interesting is this clip that you shared with me yesterday. You want to talk about what's going on over here?
So guys, and I want to say this because Tom made a great point. Like, criticize left, right, whatever. His defense of Brett Kavanaugh when he's trying to get the seat, the Supreme Court justice, is one of the most defining moments in his political career. And I think, and Tom, it was one of those like moments where you're like, oh my God, this dude. And by the way, look at the people around him. He's quiet, so he's trying to get a seat. And they had the, Dr. Blasey Ford came up and had this whole rape allegation from high school. And little did they know that this guy had literally every single day on a calendar for years, every single thing that he did. So it didn't add up. They tried to destroy him, just like Clarence Thomas, because this is how Washington does. And if, guys, I'm telling you right now, and Tom made a great point, if you are, letter of recommendation or whatever you want somebody like Lindsey Graham, love him or hate him or his mind change about Trump or whatever, this is the guy that you want in your corner talking for you. This is a freaking a letter of recommendation beyond a letter of recommendation. So he's sticking up for him after what the...
Can we watch it? Go for it.
If you wanted an FBI investigation, you could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You've said that, not me. You've got nothing to apologize for. When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsey said hello, because I voted for them. I would never do to them what you've done to this guy. This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist?
No.
I cannot imagine what you and your family have gone through. Boy, y'all want power. God, I hope you never get it. I hope the American people can see through this sham, that you knew about it and you held it.
The allegations
you
are
had
great.
no intention of protecting Dr. Ford. None. She's as much of a victim as you are. God, I hate to say it because these have been my friends. But let me tell you, when it comes to this, you're looking for a fair process. You came to the wrong town at the wrong time, my friend. Do you consider this a job interview?
The advice and consent role is like a job.
You consider that you've been through a job interview.
I've been through a process of advice and consent under the Constitution.
Would you say you've been through hell?
I've been through hell and then some.
This is not a job interview.
Yeah.
This is hell.
This
is going to destroy the ability of good people to come forward because of this crap. Your high school yearbook. You have interacted with professional women all your life. Not one accusation.
Not one. Here it comes.
You're supposed to be Bill Cosby when you're a junior and senior in high school. And all of a sudden you got over it. It's been my understanding.
Look, if you
drug women and raped them for 2 years in high school, you probably don't stop. Here's my understanding. If you lived a good life, people would recognize it, like the American Bar Association has the gold standard. His integrity is absolutely unquestioned.
It's solid. I mean, you can pause it right here. It's just a powerful messaging of Lindsey Graham. Again, in this business, the guy served in the military over 30 years, right? I think he was 3+ decades that he was in there. And he did his work and hard, one of the hardest working guys out there. But the market reacted to it in a very different way. There's a lot of negative things that was said about him as well. So I don't know if you want to get into that.
Yeah, so, and just, I'm happy you brought that up, Pat. 30 years in Congress and in a city where politicians like Nancy Pelosi amassed tens of thousands, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. Guess what he left? He died with a net worth of $1.5 million. That's nothing for 30 years. But then you have ghouls, and Pat, these are disgusting human beings. Margaret Cho on Lindsey Graham's death. Umberto, can you bring that up? And I'll say it while he's looking for it. She said, bye, Lindsey, from the closet to the coffin. Think about, and again, guys, going off of what Pat said, I don't care how you felt about somebody, if they loved somebody, if they hated somebody, his policies or whatever. This is a human being made in the image of God, and he is dead. For you to say stuff like from the closet to the coffin, where you have it put Margaret Cho. Margaret Cho, I sent it in the Slack, is a disgusting thing to do, and it says so much about your soul. And this is coming from it's not the majority, it's everybody from the left that is speaking on him. A little bit higher, right there. That's Margaret Cho, and then you can show the other one, guys. This is Margaret Cho, the comedian, talking about somebody that just died. Go ahead.
Bye, Lindsey. Bye, Lindsey Graham. From the closet to the coffin, real seamless. Real seamless.
Her dog even hates it.
Also, yeah, Mitch McConnell. So it's Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, the dog.
Lindsey Graham. Does happen in threes.
Does happen in threes. You know what she's wanting? She wants Trump. That's innuendo wanting Trump to die. And by the way, her dog sounds like he's asking for help in the background. And then Umberto go down. Guys, listen to me. I know we always talk about evil and demons and all that stuff. Look at this person's eyes when they're talking about death of another human being, and tell me there's not something disgusting and dark in this person's life. Go ahead.
I woke up this morning and found out Lindsey Graham is dead.
Jeez.
Mitch McConnell is dead.
No, he's not.
There's two more that needs to go, if you know what I'm saying.
Jeez.
But what a wonderful morning. Praise be Allah.
Yeah, praise be Allah. Praise be Allah. So just to give everybody a context, Pat, and then Pat, if you don't mind, this whole thing with Lindsey, because you know all the conspiracy theorists were out there. He had what they basically said in layman's terms when he tore his aorta. It's like aortic dissection due to something cardiovascular disease. Okay, that's going heart disease. Tom, it happened to who's the Threes Company guy? I forgot.
John Ritter.
John Ritter. They get a tear in his aorta. And guys, this is from people that are just working and they're doing so much, and you're not checking on your health. And I'm telling everybody right now from experience, if you're over 40, stop putting it off. Get yourself checked out. There's too many people that ignore the warning signs. Okay, then they find out when it's too late. And a lot of these diseases can be treated if you catch them early. And this is a message for everybody, wherever you are listening to this. If you're overweight, start taking care of yourself. Okay, if you're sitting around, get moving. And if you're struggling with addiction, today is the day to get better. Stop saying, and I love that. What are the odds that you did it for the Volt ad? Stop saying, I'll do it tomorrow. Because tomorrow turns into next week. Next week turns into a month. Next month turns into a year. And I know because I've been there. Okay. And if you're struggling with addiction today, do it. Okay. Get sober because it's the best decision. You feel me?
That's very good. Very good message. Adam, your thoughts?
Well, Vinny, number one, I'm glad that you're doing so well, and I appreciate the message. Rest in peace, Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham was a political gangster. So, you know, the kids say that he stood on business. He stood 10 toes down. That's what Lindsey Graham did. Some people didn't like it. Obviously, you have some disgusting people cheering for his death. Anna Kasparian, you could show that, our old friend. But there's a lot of red-blooded, loving Americans who understand what he did for our country. So he was the number one Republican voice, you could argue, on national security and foreign policy. Some people say he was a hawk. But that was his job. His job was to ring the alarm bells and say, Iran's trying to kill us. China's trying to slit our throat. Russia wants to basically take over Europe, and basically we're next. Stability through strength, peace through strength, that was his job. And then his coup de grace, you saw it earlier, was what he did with Brett Kavanaugh. Sometimes when, you know, like we might have to read our notes a little bit. We might have to check notes. This dude just looked straight in the camera and was like, this is what's going on. Here's what you need to know. This is the deal. That's how you know somebody's serious. At the end of the day, what I'm going to remember Lindsey Graham for was there's a lot of people that talk trash, but they're not in the game. This dude was in the arena. He might not agree with everything that Trump did or the Republican establishment did, but this guy was there every single day, and he's gone way too soon. 71 years old. We have people in their 80s, almost 90s in Congress, gone way too soon, and he'll be missed.
And by the way, while this is happening, Mitch McConnell posted a note out there and a picture of he and his wife to make sure everybody is not thinking that a lot of people are like, maybe he's dead. He's dead. I think he's dead. He's not dead. He posted a picture with he and his wife and put a note out there. I don't know whether he wrote this or not. If you want to zoom in on the picture, zoom in on the picture a little bit, if you'll see, they have the newspaper to the left to kind of show what the timing is. And he's explaining how he had a fall. He wasn't doing well. He's gone there. He's recovering. He says, I still have some work to do. I'm not stepping down and da-da-da-da-da. But at the same time, he's already expressed last year that he's no longer seeking re-election after January 2027. So his seat will be taken over by somebody else. And this is the one thing about AI, man. AI knows how to have a lot of fun. You want to play some of these clips on what AI did? Just so you know how the market works. Look at this one here. I mean, just love. I mean, if you have a sense of humor, this is what people wanted to make sure he's doing well. Watch out for the music.
Lower the music. Lower the music, bro.
Now, look,
There you go.
some people are
You can
saying
find Mitch McConnell in
some
the club.
people are saying that's AI. Some are saying it's real. I'm
Yes,
saying
move.
it's AI, but at the same time, we're glad he's doing okay, and his position will probably go to somebody else here soon. In regard to the South Carolina one, what happens next is the governor of South Carolina has to replace him with somebody, but they still have to do a primary, which means there has to be an element of somebody on the Republican side to be able to fight for Lindsey Graham's position. I think right now it's 53 to 47, and it kind of brings it down to 52-47. So on the Senate, they definitely need every one of them. So there's some very moving parts on the power plays that people have to pay close attention to. Both of these guys, they're watching it very, very closely. Let me get to the next story. Next story is Iran targeted U.S. And these stories with Iran that you read about, I mean, it's not pretty what happened here. It was a real thing that took place. At one point, everybody's thinking, well, it's good, it's peace, it's going to be great. Well, on July 7, Tuesday, escalations began after Iran fires drones at maritime shipping containers and transitioning the Strait of Hormuz, claiming sovereign oversight over unapproved shipping routes. And then Saturday, July 11th, an Iranian strike hits a commercial container ship in the critical waterway, setting it ablaze and leaving a civilian crew member missing. Iran's Revolutionary Guard officially declares the Strait of Hormuz closed to all international traffic. Then yesterday, July 12th, at 5 p.m. CENTCOM, forces initiate massive retaliatory waves, strike 140 different targets across southern Iran, including Rejm Island, Bandar Abbas, Sirik, and Jask. Targets including drone launch. You got it? You want to put it here? That'll mess it up. Drone launch networks, missile sites, ammunition dumps, thank you, and Revolutionary Guard naval vessels. Trump announced on national television, we bombed the hell out of them last night, signaling that the interim diplomatic deal is effectively dead. And then today, very early this morning, Iranian state media acknowledges widespread domestic explosions response to the bombing. Tehran launched retaliatory strike targeting infrastructures inside Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Jordan, and Oman. CENTCOM asserts that the strait remains open, stating Iran does not control the strait. Traffic is flowing. While this is going on, a couple of things to keep in mind is these different locations that were, Tom, apparently these countries, Kuwait, they were able to intercept a lot of these attacks that took place. Tom, when you look at this, one, how is the market reacting to it? Two, I saw the numbers on odds on what they're saying. They're saying there's a 30% chances that this could escalate into something nasty, even worse than what it was, and oil prices can go back to 120. There's a 50% chance that this could drag out for quite some time till the end of the year. And there's a 20% chance that this is going to be a quick seasonal thing. Boom, we're going back to negotiation and things will be done. Where are you at with this, Tom?
Well, I look at to see how the price of oil reacts because the market has been reacting. And I look at those numbers to see how all of the invisible hands of the economy, Pat, that are out there helping us and working against us work. And as you can see here, oil is staying just a tick under 74. It was 73.50. The market's open now at 73.75. Okay, great. So the market is maintaining calmness. Pre-market today for our major indexes, S&P and NASDAQ, 0.5% up. So in other words, a normal kind of a Monday up after some positive economic news over the weekend. Not dramatic news, but good news, fair news. So the market is not freaking out. Now you go down here and look, take a look, Pat. There's actually 34 ships in motion. Remember how long we would look on there and there was like two, three, and they were being escorted by the military, just one at a time, please. Well, guess what? There's some going through. Now, the other side of it is that there's the side that says, okay, it doesn't look like anybody's reacting. Here's the side I worry about. Iran is launching things back across at all of those targets, and they're hitting 2 and 3. I think they hit 3 separate countries on the other side. And it's like, wait a minute, this can get out of hand. And yes, the Iron Dome type technology, which is what we helped Israel with, that's out there.
And by the way, just so you look at Jordan's air defense intercept regional threats, shooting down 4 incoming Iranian ballistic missiles over its sovereign airspace. Kuwait did the same thing with their interceptors. And then you got a couple other locations, not all of them, but some of them did get through.
Right. I think Kuwait and Jordan, I believe, are U.S. equipment. Not U.S. ships, but it's U.S. technology on the ground there that we've shared with those countries. And so they're able to get it down. But this is nuts. But the number one nuts part that I absolutely hated was that it was a civilian, in other words, private company tanker that was there. And that just, when they're sitting there, you're looking at what happens if they really hit that. You have all this oil spilled in the Gulf, and you'd have 25 innocent sailors that were working for a cargo company on Monday, and on Tuesday they got killed by an Iranian missile. That, I think, is what's escalating this thing bad, Pat, is they're aiming at the innocent, sailors that are on transport vessels.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, every time they do this, it unites the world with each other, specifically that region. They're like, okay, we're on U.S. side, not on Iran's side. But at the same time, while you're watching this, you have to remember that how quickly did this change? When they had the funeral, their own state-sponsored banner, state-sponsored. That's kind of like, imagine the U.S. State Department says, kill Putin or kill something. It said, kill Trump.
Yeah, how do you really feel?
Exactly. And then regime vows execution of leaders. High-ranking Iranian figures published a state directive on July 11 declaring that American decision makers will take to their graves the unfulfilled wish of dying peacefully in their beds. This is not language of somebody that wants to negotiate. So it's and by the way, again, for somebody that was hoping for Iranians to be free, the 81% that want Iran to be free, the main guy that was spearheading this was Lindsey Graham, who died yesterday. That's why a lot of people are saying, well, maybe this could have a tie because of how Iran state media reacted to Lindsey Graham dying yesterday. Maybe there was something going on there. Adam, your thoughts with the story on Iran?
So here we go again. I mean, if this were reality TV, Pat, let's be honest here. This would be like the most toxic breakup, get back together relationship in soap opera history. I know you were a big fan of Beverly Hills 90210. Shout out to Dylan McCabe, Melrose Place. But we're back again. We're friends again. They're crazy again. They're insane again. We're bombing them again. The Ayatollah's a great guy. He's a piece of crap. At what point are we like, oh my God? And I feel like, who's getting fatigue? Hear this thing, oh, it's a black fatigue. It's Israel fatigue. At this point, I feel like the average American just has Iran fatigue. Don't even get me started on the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is affecting everybody's lifestyle and gas prices more than anything in America at this point. So if I'm the average American and I'm thinking Strait of Hormuz, Iran, get this stuff out of my face. I think we all understand this. Iran, they want to basically take over the Middle East. They want to have their sort of Sharia law vision of the world, the end of times. In America, we're focused on midterms versus the end of times. At the end of the day, they're going to do what they got to do with this little soap opera. But who out there doesn't think that as soon as midterms are over, left, right, or center, Trump isn't going to just bomb the crap out of these people like he has nothing left to lose? That's what I think is going to happen at the end of the day.
Vinny.
Well, here's my thing. How much on this podcast about what happened, but they could keep on doing this, and how much are we going to let them do it? Because all I keep hearing is the bragging. Okay, the Air Force decimated, Navy, all the ships at the bottom of the ocean. Pat, at what point are we going to say, okay, enough is enough? Because to me, it seems like this isn't going to stop in 2 years. This isn't going to stop in 10 years. Because Iran, first, I don't know how the hell they're doing it. Besides the mines, Tom, they have control of this specific area. And as you said, that all the nations are trying to slowly come together and be like, wait a minute, these people are in control, and it's whatever they dictate, the oil is going to go up, and it's hurting everybody's wallet, especially regular Americans. So I'm because you taught how many times it's the solution. What is going to be the solution for this whole thing, Pat? And I don't see any solution other than literally going in there. I'm not saying I want us to do this, but I'm trying to figure out another way than going in there, invading, and getting rid of the IRGC and freeing the people. There's no other way. What is other? Because then give me a solution on how this is going to stop. How are we going to stop Iran, Tom, from doing this every single week?
We've heard the talking points about, oh, the Navy's at the bottom of the ocean. Oh, we got this. Oh, we got that. The only things that we know that we've hit is all the ships. We can count the ships where they were on satellite, and now they're not there. They're sunk. So number one. But number two, they've got missile installations everywhere. And these really aren't missiles. These are more like rockets.
Yes.
Right? They've got rockets everywhere. They're hidden 5 here, 4 here, 5 here. That's what they got. They're up in the hills, they're up in the mountains, and they keep launching them. And they keep launching them with some reasonable level of telemetry and guidance systems, and they're getting targeting information. That hasn't stopped. We wait for a week, and all of a sudden, 40 missiles overnight going here, and here. So that hasn't been decimated. And that part is still there and operational. And it appears that they got enough of it that they got this waiting game that they could go out. So we could talk about the Navy, talk about all these talking points, but they still have enough, almost like guerrilla warfare with 5 missiles here, there,
Let me
and
ask you a question, Tom. Let me ask you a question. If Marco Rubio was president right now, or J.D. Vance was president right now, how would they have handled the situation with Iran? Say they're the president right now. How different would they have handled the situation?
If they're right on me, I don't think JD would have started it. Okay. Me personally, Marco Rubio right now, Pat, I think he'd be a little bit more aggressive.
Do you think he would have started it?
Marco Rubio,
yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what would he? Tell me what you think Rubio would be doing differently than Trump right now. So let's go to that. Let's isolate specifically Rubio. What would Rubio be doing differently? You think You think Rubio sees Iran as a bigger threat than the president does?
Rubio?
I think it's pretty equal.
I think it's pretty. Yeah, Adam is good. He makes a good point. I think it's pretty.
Do you think it's equal?
Pretty even, Pat.
You think
Rubio's more?
Do you think Rubio and Trump? I think Rubio is 5% more than the president. I think Rubio is 5% more than the president. I think Rubio.
I agree with that. And I think J.D. Vance is far from the president.
I think Rubio is slightly ahead of the president on how big the threat is. And I think the president is more of a businessman where he's like, look, let's just freaking, this is annoying. Let's just come back and do business. Like focus on Greenland. Let's focus on this. Let's focus on that. I think Rubio would have gone a little harder than the president would have. My opinion.
I agree with you, PBD.
I think Rubio would have gone a little
I think
harder.
there's one key difference. I think the one key difference is I think Rubio would have made sure that he had succession. Who's going to flow into this gap? We saw what happened when we killed Saddam Hussein in Iraq, and all the crazies just swept in and went boom. It's the same thing if you ever read the book or seen the movie Charlie Wilson's War. The movie over-dramatized it. You know what Hollywood does. But it was a story of we helped the Afghans get the Russians out of Afghanistan way, way back. And guess what? When we left a vacuum, the crazies swept in. When we killed, when Hussein was found and then executed, the crazies came in. I think Rubio, by the way, Venezuela, we knew there was a backup plan. Call it CIA, call it Mikado, call it what you want to call it, but there was a plan for some sort of stabilizing leadership in Venezuela. I think Rubio, Pat, I think he would have made sure that those people the Kurds are going to support this, these people are going to do this, and we're going to have succession. I think he would have had that
This
plan.
is how I see it. This is how I see it. I think all of us, we have a different top five. Let's face it. Like, if you were president right now, your issues would be very different than if Tom was president, than if Adam was president, everybody has a different priority list. I just think Iran will be slightly higher on the list for Rubio than Trump's, and I think he would be he would be approaching the IRGC in a very different way than the president is. The president, he's negotiated with everybody, and he thinks he can get a deal with everybody. And a part of it is like this, like, you know how sometimes I'm trying to tell you, you got a kid, and I'm trying to tell you, hey, Vinny, avoid that crowd, and you're like, I got it, man. I'm freaking 30 years old. Leave me alone, Dad. Let's just say you're having a conversation. Vinny, I'm just telling you, avoid that. Dude, are you freaking kidding? I got it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, you know what? Guess what? Go. Every time you ask me for advice, I give you zero advice.
Yeah.
Because I want you to go through it. 6 months later, you go and you hang out with that crowd. You come back and say, man, you got to avoid that crowd. I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. I don't say it to you, right? So I think sometimes you have to wrestle with the IRGC to realize they're not, even the nastiest, ugliest person the president ever negotiated with is not at the level of nasty of IRGs.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. I think you got to kind of pick that up and kind of go for that for yourself.
And he's going, but Pat, Trump is going for legacy at this point. And like you said, he just wants, like, get it over with and get it done with. But these guys aren't going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. And Marco Rubio's thing, Pat, it would be a whole different approach to it. But what my point still is, this doesn't seem like it's going to stop anytime soon, but the only solution is going to be the one that nobody wants. And it's going to have to be literally go in there and get rid of all of them.
And by the way,
root and stem.
The poll that we ran right now with the audience, and I'm going to come to you, the poll says who would go harder at Iran, Trump or Rubio? They put Trump 44, Rubio 56. So even the audience thinks that Rubio would go slightly harder on them. Slightly, not a big... Again, we don't know that. We're purely speculating. Adam, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you on this, PBD. I think what Rubio would do different than Trump, he would not have signed that memorandum of understanding on June 14th. Let's be real here. That memorandum of understanding was for one thing and one thing only. It was sort of a Trump birthday present to the world, basically saying, I got a deal done. Look at me. Listen, we all knew that deal wasn't getting done. We all knew at some point that Iran was going to break everything that they basically shook their hand on. And basically, we got to watch out. Like when Iran shakes a deal, shakes their hand, they're probably doing this in the background. So Rubio probably would have been more of a pragmatic person.
Yeah.
Trump is more of a deal maker and deal breaker. At the end of the day, I think Rubio would have gone super hard on these guys. J.D. Vance would have been a little bit different.